what is the meaning of life? Is there a meaning to all of this madness? Does each one of us really have one particular purpose? And finding that, will it make us feel fulfilled? Heavy questions, aren't they? Okay, I'm not going to help you answer any of that, because what am I? 20-something girl trying to find my place in this big, big world. But I do have some really, really interesting experiences that might help you answer them, but I can guarantee one thing. It understood and made me understand the importance of life, made me feel that all of this can be made worthwhile. So let me zoom back a little to my experiences when I started off during volunteering during my summer breaks in college. I started with Teach for India as a volunteer, and then I moved on to Saturday art class as a teacher and a part-time mascot, as they would call me. Here we taught in government schools and low-funded schools. Basically, the idea was to teach art through emotional learning and value education. Now, it's an amazing experience to give children the kind of exposure to world-renowned artists, give them an environment to express and understand emotions in a more relatable setting, which otherwise might be a little hard for them. But most importantly, what I didn't realize is that I would walk out of this experiencing learning more than I was teaching. Because I learned that kids have a simple way of being, a malleability, a purity that all of us lose as we grow up, because the world makes us stubborn and jaded. But they don't. But what I also saw and unfortunately realized is that one can be conditioned at a very young age to see a divide when there is none. So, as a part of Saturday art class, we made it an important thing to celebrate all festivals to encourage unity amongst the classmates. So we were celebrating this festival, let's call it Festival X, right? We had a simple activity of sticking colored grains on an artwork that depicted that festival. Now, everyone is super excited and we've all jumped in full swing. And I see this little girl folded patiently with her hands in her lap, smiling and patient but unwilling to participate. We'll call her Sheena. Now, Sheena otherwise is a very, very bright girl and very enthusiastic, always the first one jumping out to do her thing. But for some reason, she wasn't participating, and I noticed. So I went up to her, and I smilingly asked her, "Is it your partner? Do you want to change?" She said, "No." I said, "Is it the colors? Are you looking for something else?" And she said, "No." I asked her if she was unwell. She said, "No." Now, I knew where we were heading. I just really, really didn't want that to be the answer. So I smiled and kept trying to ask her what was wrong. And she was silent and kept refusing, till she finally gave up and told me. Oily and shyly so, but she told me that, "Didi, it's this festival, and I'm not allowed to participate in the artwork for it." Now, visibly, I was obviously calm, but internally, I was really upset to see someone as young as a girl from the 4th grade that could be conditioned to see a divide and experience the concept of being left out of a simple art activity. So, I asked her, having a little heart to heart, I asked her if we participated in all the festivals together and all of her friends did the same. And she said yes. I said if she enjoyed doing that in all of the other classes that we've had, and she said yes. I said, "You think this is a bad thing?" And she immediately refused and said no. So I saw and I realized that it wasn't her own thought process, but simply the condition that she was being given. So I took a step back and I told her that you can do whatever you like, and there aren't going to be any punishment or consequences to this, that this is your choice. And so that's what she did. Given the opportunity, she happily joined in. Unprovoked, at the end of the class, she came running and hugged me. She apologized for the way she behaved and said, Didi, I'll always be a part of the class again. And I'll never step out that way. That day, that little girl taught me what compassion is all about. That when we come together and uplift each other, that being part of a bigger community is what the real important lesson is. That at the end of the day, that art has the ability to connect each one of us. I also saw how passionate I was through experiences like this about the work that I was doing. I saw that, like me, there were hundreds of other young people coming together for one simple goal, is to create the kind of world that we would all like to live in, not just for us, but the future generation. We all were simply extremely passionate about the chance to do this, because we were giving our weekends away in not very comfortable conditions, but all of us were very, very happy to be there. The passion that each one of us had brought us there that day and for years to come. Watching Saturday art class grow from a mere class of 30 students to students all around the city with more than 100 organizations and schools participating and thousands of children. Now that was experience number one. My experience number two was how I fell in love with the profession of acting. Now, this is my third day in acting class and we were given a simple exercise of saying the dialogue, मैं यहाँ क्या कर रही हूँ या मैं यहाँ क्या कर रहा हूँ, again and again in the same emotion. And you take that emotion from a 10% to 100%. Now, here are the couple of things that I learned. One, that a room can vibrate an energy. Two, is the idea that everyone experiences emotion very, very differently. We were all in bouts of uncontrollable laughter, looking at each other, even though not a single joke was said. But the real experience came in when we moved to the emotion of sadness. Again, everyone had a very different experience as we reached 100% of that emotion. While some were crying, the others were silent and pensive. I myself was crying and had a runny nose. But I saw one single man who hadn't reached his 100 yet, and he was on the floor, crying uncontrollably. While most, when they finished the exercise, left the room to grab some air, I sat there to take it all in. Because what I saw was a man in a complete emotion of pain. Now, frankly, at this point of time, I didn't even remember his name, let alone know or understand the reason or what he was thinking or what he was remembering that made him feel this way. All I know is that I saw an emotion, clean, clear, and simple as day, without having any context for it. And that's when I fell in love with the process of acting, because I connected with that human and I connected with that emotion. After the class was over, he told us that it had been 4 years since he had last cried, shed a single tear. Now in that moment, I realized that it was the most amazing experience to have, is to empathize with someone without even knowing their whole story. Because you can empathize with the way they feel. Till day, I still don't know what made him feel that way, but I know what he felt. And that was the power of my profession. And that was the day I realized how passionate I was about it. Because it would allow me not only to interact with people every single time that I have a new project, but it would allow me to simply empathize with them, connect with humans, and live a different life each time I take on a new character. Maybe for a short period of time, but I could live 100 lives within this short life of mine. And that's what I thought would drive me every single day. And I realized that passion is not at the end of the day about an end goal. It's not about the wins, because neither of these experiences or neither of these fears was ever about a final goal or a destination, but it was about the experience I had each single day. I realized that it was effort and energy and a hard work and a lot of painful experiences that I would go through a lot more than wins. But it didn't matter, because those experiences drove that fire within me. And that's what I realized passion is really all about. Passion is simply something that can motivate us when the going gets tough and adversity may seem to get the better of you. It can drive you to do amazing things and view life in different ways. Now, I realized that I was very lucky to find passion in my work, but I also saw these experiences to teach me that passion doesn't necessarily have to be where you earn your living from. It can be a person, it can be a hobby, it can be a skill, it can be a cause, it can be anything that drives the energy in you to experience things in a new light and drives you to do that again and again and again. And it's not about an outcome, but it's about that experience that you will take through life. It's about the ability to touch others around you and be impactful. And that's what made us tick. Thank you.